So we can move on to the psychological dimension now. Are there any self-created thought forms with this gentleman? This dissolve for him?
We can dissolve the negative aspect, but the guides are asking that we replace it with a positive thought form of, I'm capable, I'm worthwhile.
Okay.
Yeah. He needs a little boost.
So what we are doing now, using this method, talking remotely with the higher self, is what a therapist would do in a face-to-face situation to try and get him to think differently about himself. Yeah.
Absolutely, yes.
So we're using the remote method to see if that can have an impact on him.
Yeah, we find that's very effective as well.
Yes. Okay. Anything else to do on self-created thought forms? Are there any more? Any others?
Yeah, I wish I could be more. I feel like he feels very unfulfilled, like he's just not achieved what he wanted to. That's very similar to the first one, but it's more like a byproduct of it. So again, we can dissolve the negative aspect of that. We're going to replace that with I am enough.
Or yes, I can.
Yeah.
Yeah, good. Excellent. Thank you, Charlotte. Thank you, John. And thank you, higher self. Let's move on now. Does he have any dissociated subpersonalities?
Yes.
How many?
There's a 2 to 3 year old.
Okay. Let me just give me a moment so I can jot this down. 2 to 3 year old, yeah. Next one.
9 or 10.
Yeah.
And then 17 or thereabouts.
17. Okay, now, dissociated subpersonalities are created through some kind of emotional trauma, distress, and they become a split-off part of the self. And the objective here is to see if they can be reintegrated with the core self so that he feels more complete. Let us appeal to the higher self now and ask, is it going to be possible for these three to be reintegrated at this time?
The older two, yes. I'm guided that we should leave the younger one for now until he's a bit more stable, because it might be overwhelming for him all at once, and he really will have no recollection at all of the younger one.
Okay.
So it's going to be a lot for him to cope with at once. So we can leave that one there for now, but we can reintegrate the other two.
Okay. Can we ask for that to be done now?
Yeah, that's done.
And by doing this now, it takes off a lot of the workload for ongoing therapy, doesn't it?
Yeah, very much so.
Good. So I'm going to ask a simple question now, and I'm hoping for a condensed summary, a simple answer. Can the guide, John, or the higher self, give, in a nutshell, the cause of this gentleman's problems? What seed was planted here that caused these problems?
He's got a very weak sense of self that stems back to childhood, and this, I'd say, an overbearing female presence that probably had a very low regard for men and has transferred this to him. So there's a lot of shame, a lot of feelings of worthlessness. The guidance for him is that he has to start believing in himself, and I'm guided that hypnotherapy and the hypnosis apps or audios, he doesn't necessarily have to see a hypnotherapist, but this is going to help him rewire his brain. He's particularly suggestible, which is why he's taken on these negative suggestions about self, but it also will work in his favour in the other way, in that he will be able to very quickly change that perception of self through the repetition of the appropriate hypnosis audios, because he is very, very capable, but his own anxiety and these kind of feelings of worthlessness get in the way, and they've held him back for a long time. They needn't do that anymore. But the confusion arises from his own fears.
So let me just access the file. So I'm just going to read the original request that came from the family about this gentleman now I didn't give Charlotte or the guide any prior information about this case at all, only the name, his age and where he lives. And this is what the family sent to us. And I'm going to be careful how I read it because I don't want to give any names or personal identity away. He has had a heavy drinking problem off and on since he was a teenager. He was sexually abused by a 35-year-old woman when he was just 15. And this woman was prosecuted for it. At the time, he didn't consider it to be rape. He was later institutionalised for a short period at the age of 17. I believe was on his knees praying constantly, and the family feared psychological problems. His father died when he was 17. Again, the dissociated part, 17 years old, so that fits. Where are we? Father died when he was 17. The mother was a chronic liar, hoarder and thief, having her kids help her to do these things. He seems to have a problem with women as a result. Excuse me for laughing, but I don't mean to be disrespectful about this. He didn't reach his full potential and harbours great anger and shame as a result. Of course, none of this is any laughing matter. When he drinks, he becomes someone else. And I fear obsession or possession, which we have found to be true. His family life has always been troubled. Among other disturbing things, he walked in at the age of 12 on his mother having sex with his daughter's boyfriend. Or with her daughter's boyfriend. So his youngest brother is a product of that union.
Wow.
They were kicked out of their home by the neighbourhood, and an exorcist was called in to remove spirits due to possible Ouija board use. He turned to fundamental Christianity in his 30s and has had a great fear of the spirit world and afraid of mediumship. He believes that mediumship is evil. He accepts the possibility of obsession-possession of people in general, but greatly fears this may be an issue in himself. He's unwilling to seek psychiatric help, believes prayer is his only option, knows intellectually that God is not a punisher, but viscerally believes that God is punishing him. He is a helper in life, but needs help himself, but can't figure out how to get it. So, hopefully this intervention, using the remote method, has addressed all these problems. And we'll find out from feedback what the outcome is. But certainly what we discovered from the remote procedure fits in with the information that was given to us prior. So I'm going to draw that session to a close now on that particular case because we have to move on to another one. Okay. Right, let's get back to Charlotte. Let me see if I can access the file for the next case. So, I'm going to start recording. Let me get your image where I can see you. I'm going to start recording now. It switches itself off and I've got to switch it back on again. It switches itself off to save the battery, which is annoying. But, okay, this is recording now. Charlotte and John, this is case number 517. And this part can be edited out because I have to name the person. John, connect with this person?
Yes, we have a connection.
And can you tell me, John, is this person sovereign?
No, No, there's a lot going on with this lady. She's on her knees for a start, which is a very unusual way for me to see. She's on her knees, she's very, very traumatised, and she's got 2 DFEs that are literally just very overbearing, leaning over her, shouting at her. I would imagine she must be hearing this, certainly feeling it, but we can clear them.
How would you grade them, 1, 2 or 3?
I'd say 3.
Really? Okay. So this person will be suffering very badly from these. She's got 2
Yeah,
of
very
these.
much so.
Okay, can you let me know when they've been cleared away, please?
Yeah, we've managed to move one of them.
You need extra help coming in from higher?
Yeah, for the second one.
Okay, if this is going to take time, can we move on and check back later? Get the team working on that job, and let's check the grounding now if we can.
So no grounding at all. There's a huge block in place there, so we'll just remove that and get her grounded.
Okay. We usually find this when you've got grade 3 DFEs, they put blockages in place to stop the grounding.
Yep, so that's all good now. She's back on her feet and fully grounded.
Well, that was quick. So you moved the block and got her grounded very, very quickly. Thank you. Now let's have a look at the inner etheric and see what we find in there.
Wow. Okay, this is very bad. I want to say this is like some kind of entanglement. This lady's been carrying not just a lot of energy that isn't hers. She's been very infected, and it's almost wrapped around every part of her. We can clear that all away. Once we've cleared the majority of that reveals this. She's almost been used as an incubator as well for some type of entity, probably one of the ones we've removed.
Yeah.
So we can clear that as well. That would have caused a lot of problems with her bowel function, pain in the lower abdomen. So get rid of that. There's also a binding around her heart. It's like a hard, crusty casing. Literally watching that be dissolved. Very, very blocked up through the upper head. She looks much better now, so that's all bright and clear now.
So I'm curious as to know who's doing the clearing work. For the record and for training and research purposes, I take it that with these serious case like this, the spirit guide John is not handling this all by himself, is he?
No, I have 2 other spirit guides that work with John in the background as well.
Yeah.
They're called Amos and Uriel.
Oh, right.
So they're assisting him with that. And for the DFE, we had another one come in who, incidentally, is also called Uriel, but it's not the same person who helped clear away
Okay.
the DFE. That's gone now.
There's an archangel called Uriel. Would it be the archangel, do you think?
One of them is, yeah.
Okay, excellent. So we've got some very, very high-powered help there, haven't we?
Yeah.
Good, thank you. Let me know when we're ready to move on from the inner etheric. Let me know when it's clear and bright, can you?
Yeah, that's all clear and bright now. We're good to go.
Okay, thanks. Have a look at the chakras now. And again, for the benefit of learning, we need to understand that the chakras need to be open and functioning normally. How are they looking?
Crown and third eye are good. All the others are very blocked. The root is always the most interesting one to me because this is where I see some of the things that created the emotional blockages. So that this lady's got very significant anxiety, some kind of prescription medication she's taking which makes her very vulnerable. Believe that probably pertains to anxiety or some kind of mood enhancer. Possibly even alcohol as a coping mechanism. But they're all clear and working fine now.
Oh, well, that's quick. Thank you very much. You've got a very efficient team here, Charlotte. Very fast. Thank you. Let's check those frequencies, those lower frequencies now for interdimensional parasites.
There's quite a lot going on with this. So she's got this kind of black sticky stuff from the knee down, almost like she's, I want to I say, it's like that stuck in mud kind of feeling. This keeps her from progressing, moving forward. She would literally feel stuck. But we can clear all that away quite quickly. There's also something parasitic in and around the ears and mouth. So this would have had a big hand in blocking her throat chakra, stopping her from speaking her truth and hearing things clearly. In particular, this woman misunderstands a lot. She would have appeared hyper defensive and sensitive.
We would normally find in the etheric as a control mechanism, but you've discovered them at a different frequency.
They're definitely parasitic. They're crawling in and around the ear and just generally blocking all that up.
That's interesting. First time we've come across something like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me know when that's cleared away, can you?
Yeah, that's all clear.
Right, let's check for portals now. Portals around the person. And for the benefit of the recording, a portal is a gateway to other dimensions that allows interdimensional creatures to come creeping through. So what does she have?
It's very interesting because I've never seen portals here before, but she actually has them on her hands. One on each hand.
Okay. Can we have those closed for her?
Absolutely. So there's the sealed. I'm only picking up one in her dwelling, but it's of a considerable size. She will identify where this is in her home because it's a spot that's always cold. So we can seal that up as well.
Okay. Now, I don't know if this lady goes to work or not, but if she has a place of work, can we check that? Does she have a place of work?
I'm not being shown anything with a place of work, but what I'm being shown is there's someone that visits her frequently that is bringing a portal with them and is also very low vibrational energy that could also be infected. I believe there's someone that might be someone that actually helps, is trying to help her.
Okay.
But is probably needs a clearing this out. I can close the portal about that lady, and I'm guided that we need to put her in a bubble of kind of protection.
I was just going to ask for that, yes, so that she's protected
Yes.
from people who visit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for that. Let's move on to earthbounds. Any earthbounds around her?
Yes, one gentleman. This is not someone she knows. I believe this is opportunistic. She's probably picked him up from when this lady's been visiting her.
Okay.
Very tormenting, negative. We'll get rid of him. So he's going to go to the light.
Thank you very much. Right, so we've gone through the spiritual dimensions. Let's have a check back now to see how she's looking before we move on to the psychological. How's she looking now?
Much more relaxed. And she's on her feet, which is great because she was on her knees. She looked very, very upset. She's now looking very relaxed. She's bright and clear on the inside. Chakras are all good. No attachments.
Good. Let's move on to the psychological now. Are there any self-created thought forms?
Yes, this is very low self-worth. It's I am disgusting. She has such a horrible perception of self. Deep, deep shame. And this applies to not just inside but outside. She just cannot stand herself. Just feeling I don't want to be me anymore.
Well, that needs to be transformed, doesn't it? Let's appeal to the higher self now and ask what can be done with this.
So we can dissolve that, and I'm asked that we replace it with I'm good enough, I'm beautiful inside and out.
So replace with positive thought forms. Okay, thank you. Moving on, are there any dissociated subpersonalities?
Two. There's a 2-year-old and a 12-year-old.
A 2-year-old.
There's one more, getting around about the age of 34 to 36 or thereabouts.
Okay. So again, appealing to the higher self, is it possible to have any of these, or if not all, reintegrated?
Yes, we can reintegrate all of them.
Excellent. Can we ask for that to be done now?
Yeah, that's good.
Thank you. So for the benefit of the recording, this lady should now begin to feel more complete within herself with these dissociated parts reintegrated.
Absolutely.
Okay. Again, I'm going to ask that impossible question from John, the guide, or from the higher self. In a nutshell, the principal cause of this woman's distress?
Ongoing emotional abuse, just being surrounded by very narcissistic people. It feels like she's been bullied for a very long time, and she's now bullies herself because those thoughts that were implanted by others have just run so very, very deep. Substance abuse has been a problem with this lady. I feel like she's self-medicated and prescription medicated, and this has actually made her more vulnerable to the spiritual attack that she's been experiencing as well.
Okay. And I do understand that it's quite difficult for the guides to distinguish the difference between self-medication with pills, drugs, and alcohol. Is that possible?
Yeah, I feel it's a combination of both. Definitely alcohol has been a problem, but I feel over the years she's relied on prescription medication to temper her mood. So this would have been anti-anxiety or antidepressant type medications, or perhaps even calming medications such as Valium, diazepam, that kind of thing.
Yeah, okay. So are there any words of wisdom or advice for the ongoing aftercare for this lady from the guides?
Yes, to a degree she has to be accountable for the people she chooses to spend time with. And no company is better than bad company. By learning to love herself, this would be a first act of self-love, to stop feeling obligated to people that don't treat her well. She has to take responsibility for herself in that respect. Once she does that, she can reach out for the right support, which will help her begin to adjust her perception of self.
Okay, good. I'm going to end the session there. Is there anything important that John would like to impart with us before I end the recording?
That she can and will be okay, but she's got to want to get better.
Okay, fine. Thank you very much, John and Charlotte, for channeling John. I'm going to end the recording there now. Thank you very much. Now, I went full screen on this one, and I'm just trying to work out how I can get back to...
Sometimes if you double click it, it might...
Is that down there? No, let's take a snapshot. Request for help from this person. This is a self-referral. Are you rolling?
Yeah, cool.
This is a self-referral from this lady, and this is what she says, and see how well this fits in with what we've just discovered. She says, I've had a traumatic childhood with domestic violence and a marriage that lasted 11 years. He left me for another woman. We have 2 grown-up children and 2 grandchildren, always having accidents ever since I can remember, from stairs, a hole in the ground, even from a first floor ceiling once I went right through it. Since I was 13, I felt a feeling to not exist anymore because I felt I wasn't wanted by loved ones. So I started to attempt suicide, with 5 times ending up in hospital to get stomach pumped. I've had 4 abortions because I didn't want to have his children. Suffered with sex addiction too. She doesn't say who, he or herself. Now these things have eased, but my skeleton has aches and pains to the point of being unable to work all my joints, back, knees, even gone to a GP, didn't find anything wrong physically. About 10 years ago, whilst working in a children's hospital, I became unable to move properly and needed to stay in bed for about 3 months. GP said lack of vitamin D, and it's now still the same. Even I had vitamin D and lots of sun. now suffering with losing my teeth and my gums becoming really bad and having bone loss. The dentist says I cannot do anything. Also, my hair is falling out in clumps. And now that I'm writing these things to you, I come to think I might have picked up lost souls in these wards. I feel symptoms just like those poor children when they have chemo. Please, I need help. So it's a bit of a desperate situation, is it? What a desperate life this person has had. And how does that correlate with what we've picked up?
Well, the first thing was she was on her knees. And as I was saying, there's a lot of energy here that doesn't belong to her. It was like a tangled mess. So that resonates for me.
So a case like this represents the extreme end of the scale in terms of therapeutic challenge, where people are trying to help. You know, how do you help someone recover from experiences like this in their lifetime? What we've done, we've just implemented a procedure that took, I'd guess, 10 minutes. And it'd be interesting now to see what sort of impact that has made on this woman's life after a couple of days. So thank you, Charlotte, and thank you, John. I'm going to end the session there now because we're at a conference, we've got to get on and do some work. So thanks a lot for all your help, and we'll see what the outcome is going to be in a few days. So thanks, Charlotte and John, and all the team and all the spirits and all the guys that are around us. And I know there are many with us here. They're supporting me in the work here at the conference, because this is a real opportunity to talk about what we're doing. So
Good luck. Let me know how you go.
catch you later.
See you later.
Bye. So there, witnessed a couple of sessions. We've seen how long it takes in comparison with traditional medical methods and therapies. We're treating people who've been suffering their entire lives from abuse and neglect and all kinds of emotional and physical trauma. And what we're trying to do is to heal the sick in the best, most efficient way possible. And this is the method we're using. Thank you.